I'm excited.
There is no reason to not talk about the Fisher King any longer. Phil, in the chat, sweaty butter is right. So here we go. We're starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, it's Monday morning, and I'm Jack Lucas.
Hi.
Hello.
This is about my husband.
Yes.
Well, he drives me crazy. I'll be talking, and he'll never let me finish a sentence. He's always finishing.
He's always finishing your thoughts. That's awful.
Okay, let's all go. Let's go.
Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. This is Wait, You Haven't Seen? And it's a show where we talk about movies, and specifically, we talk about a movie at least one of us has never seen before. I'm your host, Travis, a.k.a. TV's Travis. This is episode number 222. The movie this week is 1991's The Fisher King, starring Robin Williams and Jeff Bridges. And here to talk with me about it, because he'd never seen it before, it's Adam Mock. Adam, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. How you doing?
Not too bad. All right, so we'll just jump right into...
This was a movie.
Yeah, so what, if any, history did you have with The Fisher King?
It's funny. When I was a kid living in Queens, this movie, I remember dribs and drabs. Basically, what happened was I had a buddy who had a hot box from the cable company.
Sure.
So he recorded everything.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend John adored this movie. He sang the song all the time. He acted like just a crazy person. And I remember seeing just bits and pieces at his house, but we never just watched the movie. He would just put on scenes.
Oh, okay.
Because we were probably about, I think we were 12 at the time. So
right.
He was just like, oh, this is hysterical. I don't think he actually understood what the movie was about. He just loved seeing Robin Williams be a complete lunatic. But this movie is just something to behold. I knew what it was about. I didn't know how reflexive it would be in this day and age, and how it actually, I think, is more important now than it was then.
Oh, big time. It is a movie
in terms of so many social contexts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really was excellent. I'm kind of glad we came across this one.
So I adore, as a filmmaker, Terry Gilliam. Some of as he's gotten older, he's gotten more curmudgeonly, and he's said a few things. It's like, Terry, you really just keep that to yourself. But as a filmmaker, just dial it back a little. But as a filmmaker, he fascinates me because Terry Gilliam is in, for me, that same realm as a David Lynch, where he is going to be unapologetic in what he makes, and he's going to make the movie that, even if it's not the original vision that he had, because he's fought tooth and nail with the studio and ends up just putting out something, he is going to put out a movie that is going to make you, by the end of the movie, you're going to just be like, what? But in kind of the best way possible. My dad and I used to joke that watching a Terry Gilliam movie, you almost had to watch it twice just to figure out what was going on.
They're almost like heartfelt cartoons in a way. It's funny. This doesn't feel like a true Terry Gilliam film to me. Okay. And there was something about it that made me think that. And then I looked it up, and he has 3 rules of filmmaking, he said.
Yes.
Never work in the States, never work off of somebody else's screenplay, and don't work with the studios. And he broke all 3 rules to make this film. And when you see that Red Knight and just that Jeff Bridges performance and the Robin Williams, every bit of it, it's so heartbreaking, but it's so cartoonish and lighthearted. You don't ever really know how you're feeling during this. You know, you're broken up and elated at the same time.
And that's a thing.
It's amazing. It's an amazing film.
It's a thing that Gilliam is really good at doing, which is like creating emotional responses. However, you're not quite sure what emotion you're supposed to respond with, because he'll have a moment that is funny, but the way it's shot is disorienting, and the visual is bordering on the grotesque, and you just you don't know how you feel about it, and it's very odd, and it puts you. And he loves to, he loves his Dutch angles, and he loves his wide angle lenses up close, and give you that just right in someone's face, and you feel so weird. He did it a ton in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He did it all over the place in Brazil, and he did it a lot early in this, especially. I noticed
that opening shot of just when he's in the DJ studio and Jeff Bridges is doing his show, and he's doing his usual Jeff Bridges, but the shadows look like he's in a cage.
Oh yeah.
It's so Hitchcock. It's so like Shadow of a Doubt when she's looking at her uncle from the stair steps.
Yeah.
And he looks like the criminal, this is before he gets his, and even when he goes back, after he thinks he fixes everything, when he's back in the studio, it looks like a cage again.
Yeah.
It's brilliant like craftsmanship on Terry Gilliam's part.
There's something to Gilliam's vision, and then when he works with his production designers to make mundane places look just otherworldly. A recording studio, hospitals, like the hospital in this movie.
The video? Yeah.
And he did the same thing in 12 Monkeys with the hospital there, and like it looks like everyone's fear of what a hospital would be, like all the worst parts of it.
There, but it's almost like everyone there is just, this is a normal day for them.
Mm-hmm, absolutely,
it's so they've grown to live within it, and it's so creepy.
Yeah,
I started watching Part of Brazil the other day, and I got a lot of that. I had to turn it off because I was in the middle of something. I just put it on.
Sure.
And I was about to start watching it, and it gave me that same feeling when I was watching the scene where he's catatonic. I mean, he really does do just the human mind, or at least the crazier parts of it, and that's working with Monty Python too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the guy just he's got a brain that I don't even know if I want to spend a day up there.
I mean, you can tell, like, he just sees the world so different from everyone else, and he somehow manages to translate that to film in a way that for me is just fascinating. I can't get enough of Terry Gilliam stuff. Even like The Brothers Grimm is probably to date my least favorite of his movies. I still enjoy the hell out of it.
Did that? I forgot he made that. I looked up his filmography today. When I saw that, I went, "Oh shit!" I literally had it when it was, "Oh my god, that was him!" Because I remember seeing that and forgetting it by the time credits rolled. Because it just didn't. It was too studio. It just didn't. It didn't have his trademarks on it.
It didn't have enough of them.
Shoot it.
Yeah, it didn't have enough.
Yeah.
It felt like the least Terry Gilliam film I'd seen. Like, you'd get a little, you'd push in one direction. Like Peter Stormare's performance in Brothers Grimm is something out of just like, it is out of the Terry Gilliam playbook. But then nothing, like the rest of it just kind of falls short of that. And that's what makes, I think, this one. Now, this is after he had done Brazil and Baron Munchausen. So he's dealt with studios and interference and all that kind of stuff. And here he is breaking his 3 rules to come back to make this movie. But he managed to get a cast that just, I mean, it's amazing to have such good performances across the board, and then a movie that becomes kind of more than the sum of those parts, and those parts are so good. I mean, Jeff Bridges, Robin Williams, your 2 leads are captivating. And look, I love both of them. I've yet to really see even a bad Robin Williams movie I'm going to be entertained by, because he was just such a treasure.
He brought such a joy to this movie for a guy who's so broken. Those moments where he would just, "Hey, Jack!" And you got that Robin Williams scream.
Yes.
It was just, and this guy is dead on the inside at that moment. But he's so broken he doesn't know it. And it's almost it's so weird how it reflects onto Jeff Bridges, and Jeff Bridges is trying to forgive himself. It's so amazing. And then you throw in Mercedes Ruehl, who's this kind of she's that what is it Florence Nightingale syndrome, where that like she's taking care of this broken dude who throws her away at the end and then comes back to her, and but she just knows that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And she got the Academy Award for this. I mean, the woman, her and Michael Jeter were such great co-stars in this film. Michael Jeter, like, he was another one that you forget because, like, the movie's 2 hours 17 minutes doesn't feel over an hour and 45.
No,
this
it's
movie
paced really
flies
well.
by at a clip. I didn't know. By the end of it, I was like, that was over 2 hours? I literally looked at my clock and was shocked by that. But
And
Michael Jeter doing that bit of his was absolutely, like, and at the end, oh my God, I love the guy. I miss Mr. Noodle so much.
I do too. Like, I had a little running commentary of notes, and I had a note that was just Michael Jeter with an exclamation point, because I'd completely forgotten he was in this movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And so long enough that just parts of it kind of left my memory. So it's like, okay, seeing Michael Jeter. And then my next note with him was Michael Jeter was a treasure, and boy, has a set of pipes on him, because he is belting. He is singing that show tune.
My girlfriend walked in when he's on the table screaming, and she goes, who's that, Adam? Who's that guy? Who's that girl singing? And I go, that's Michael Jeter. She goes, who? And I go, come here. And she knew who he was. She didn't know the name. And she goes, that's him singing. And she goes, wow. She just like sat down and started watching it with me. Had no idea what she was watching.
And Michael Jeter is an actor that sadly we lost too young.
Yes.
And but he is sort of, for me, he fits into I don't want to say the same type of role that like a Steve Buscemi does, but he's that type of actor where you cast him because he has a very unique look and a very unique sound. And you always get more than you expect to get out of him. Like anything he does, he just puts himself into, and he brings up whatever it is, whether it's in a comedic way, whether it's in a dramatic way. I remember him in The Green Mile. And like, it's just heartbreaking in The Green Mile. And
when he doesn't wet the sponge, and you're just sitting there going, he's got the little mouse, and you're just, he honestly, as much as Michael Clark Duncan, R.I.P., that guy was amazing. Michael Jeter broke my heart more than he did.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly, in that movie. Because he's just so weak. He always plays these weak, adorably just want everybody to love them characters.
Yep.
And in this, it shows through perfectly. I mean, especially when at that last scene where he's walking in with David I. Pierce.
Yeah.
And he's just like, don't you remember me, Jack? He's like, I helped you, and you're throwing me away. And my God, that man. And
like the movie, that scene didn't need to be there for the movie to exist, but putting that there, like putting that there, just hammers home what's going on with the character of Jack, and it adds just that it's like a little extra seasoning in the movie, in the cake, and it's so good, and he just sells it, because who knows how long, we don't really have a sense of how much time has passed throughout the movie.
I noticed that today when I was kind of rewatching a little bit, and I was like, how long is this supposed to have gone on?
Yeah, we don't know if it's been a few days, couple months. We don't know how long it's been.
When he goes into the coma, when he relapses, you're completely lost as to the time frame of the film, because he got his job back quick. That is not a job you just get. New York radio, you don't just like start doing that again.
Right?
They got to schedule that stuff.
So, but adding that scene in,
it is funny because like,
oh, go ahead.
No, I was laughing because I remember this was like the peak Stern years,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted Stern's notes and his tapes, and he wouldn't give them unless and they were like, well, you could be you could just be the supervisor and tell us how all the boards work and everything. And he was just such a pain in the butt. They were just like, whatever, we're not going to work with Stern. And it's just like, but Jeff Bridges nails that Howard Stern role. Like, he's almost never sitting in that chair. He's up and around,
Yep.
smoking cigarettes, working the board, and it's just in this dark, horrible room.
Tiny little room that he's
when
in.
You find, and they're never like that. I mean, that was the highest ceiling ever. That was the most vaulted of ceilings.
Yeah.
But when you get to that scene where you find out like what he just said, and you realize he's not listening to his listeners.
Nope.
He's just listening for things to use against them, and he causes a mass shooting.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things where I sat there and I went, "This is relevant. Like this, you watch this with this year's eyes alone, and your jaw drops.
Oh yeah,
way more than it did in '91.
A lot.
You know.
So let's talk about this
that
opening.
Final shot. Oof.
Yeah, because this opening, like,
go for it.
Because we start the movie off with him on the radio. I played a little clip of it at the beginning of the show where the lady that calls in and like
playing Snap.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Man. That took me back.
I know, right? They only have 2 songs in this movie. They're both bangers.
And then, so he's talking over the woman. You're right. He doesn't listen to the callers. He just waits to find the thing he can use to turn against him. And we get him with the call from like a regular. It was Edwin or something like that. And he does his normal thing, but it's that one too many. It's that one time where it went over the line, and the person on the other end couldn't handle what was going on anymore. This is a person who, they're reaching out for some help, thinking they're going to get some. Yeah. Jack doesn't care about him at all. Jack's too wrapped up in this sitcom that he's going to be reading for or being on or whatever.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the sitcom where he's in the bathtub. Oh.
Yeah, so he does his thing. He tells the guy whatever he tells to him. He leaves. Gets in the limo with David Hyde Pierce, which I also forgot he was in the movie completely. That
was amazing. I was like, hey, Frasier.
And I mean, it's how many years before Frasier began? I don't think Frasier started for another 2 years or something.
3. I think it was like 94.
And Gilliam was always good at getting a lot of names in his movies for these smaller roles. Like if you think back to Brazil, he had like a young Jim Broadbent in there for like 2 scenes. Yep. And, the career he went on to have and just kind of stuff like that. You would always see that happen. For some reason, Terry Gilliam just managed to do that. And he does it here it is with a young David Hyde Pierce. And so he's Jack is like all set up to do this sitcom. And he goes home and he's got his, high-rise apartment with his girlfriend, and she's drawing and complaining about something, but he doesn't care because he only really cares about himself. He's so self-absorbed. Yeah. And I love the scene where he's reading the lines in the bathtub.
And his girlfriend is just as self-absorbed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She's just talking about her artwork while she's working on it. Like, not even, I don't even think she looks at him.
No, I don't think she does.
She does not look at him. It's amazing.
They're a match. They're a perfect match, the 2 of them. And yeah, so he's in the bathtub and he's reading his lines, and we get the shot from outside. I love that shot outside the building looking in as he's got his bathrobe on and he's going over more lines, and it's Jeff Bridges just getting to just have fun, go nuts, really ham it up, really. And I always like when you see, in this case, it's an actor who's getting ready to do an acting gig in the movie. So you get to kind of see like an actor being an actor, and here he is practicing and going over things and trying, ad-libbing and trying different stuff and all this. And again, just so wrapped up in himself, and then turns around and there's his face on all the TVs because he's on they're talking about him on the news. And the gut punch of the way that scene then unfolds. And very few people, I feel like, can have the look of complete confusion and horror that Jeff Bridges can seem to pull off. I don't know how he does it.
He's one of those actors that he became what they call, like, he's a genre actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like Christopher Walken became a genre. Nicolas Cage became a genre.
Yeah.
And Jeff Bridges isn't there yet, but I mean, lately with some of the way he's talking and acting like an old prospector, and he's becoming a caricature of himself a little bit. And it's a really good caricature. The guy has chops for days. And when he pulls himself out of those roles, because I think he just takes them because they're fun. Mm-hmm. But when he gets a meaty role, the man devours it.
Oh, yeah.
And in this, I remember him mostly from Starman and thinking he didn't really have to do much in that movie because he was just this blank slate because he was an alien trying to figure out the world.
Right.
But in this, it was the first time I really saw him in his early work really, really acting. Because, I mean, I never watched, like, The Fabulous Baker Boys, which got him this film. Because Terry Gilliam was on a plane and saw it and said, Jeff Bridges, that's my man. Yeah, literally, that's how he got cast.
I love that. I love stories like that. I think
Bruce Willis tried out for this movie. I mean, it's ridiculous. And he's just one of those. He's almost like an enigma when he acts, because he never quite lets you totally in, but he relaxes you so much that you don't mind it.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it.
There's something drawing about him, and I've always liked Jeff Bridges for that reason.
Even when he's playing a heavy, like what he did in the first Iron Man movie to play a villain, to be Obadiah Stane, he's so disarming. And he's so, like, non-threatening.
Yep. He's just got that, hey, Tony, how's it going? We're going to go out back and kill Tony. And you're just like,
and you're just like, yeah, that sounds like a great, wait, what? and look, like, he can be intimidating. I mean, obviously, he can be intimidating, but he's so just charming and disarming. And you're right, he relaxes you and lets you just get comfortable with him in the movie. And, like, in this, he has to go from, he is wholly unlikable in that opening few minutes. Like, he is just not a likable person at all. And then the inciting incident happens, and he sees the news story about the mass shooting at the bar, and it's because of what he said to this guy that was, like, the final straw and the catalyst to it. And as a character, because you mentioned Howard Stern, and there was a quote from Howard Stern saying, like, that he didn't understand why the guy was off the radio after that because of the publicity of it. He's like, I'd be on the next day. And I'm thinking,
I read that
okay,
too.
but then you have no soul, because this guy feels bad about what happened, and he's not off the air because he didn't get fired for the incident that occurred. He's traumatized by that, and he can't do it anymore. And so Bridges gives you that emotional vulnerability to go from this cocky, shock jock, unlikable guy to a very different type of unlikable guy. But he's unlikable because of the trauma that he's going through. And it's nice to see in a movie like a full, true character arc and see somebody. We don't just see a character arc where somebody gets broken down and then gets back to what they were at the beginning of the movie. We actually see Jeff Bridges, we see Jack get broken down, go through a whole bunch of stuff, go back to what he was, and then grow from there. And he becomes a better person by the end of it.
And what's funny is he does revert at one point. He does. I mean, when he thinks that he fixed Perry, he literally just goes, honey, I'm done. I can't be with you anymore.
Yeah.
I got to go back to my old life. And she just sits there, are you serious right now? And her reaction is so like, holy crap. All right, go ahead. It's such a, and I don't know, like their relationship, I love. I absolutely adore it because they're such polar opposites, but they work so well together. He and Anne are adorable together.
They really are.
Because she's Linda Belcher, but more grounded. She is Bob's Burger's wife.
Yeah.
She's just this happy-go-lucky, trying to just make everybody happy, but don't push her too hard because she can bite back, and she'll make you feel like crap about it. And I Mercedes Ruehl nails this role.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, just tackles it.
I had a little bit of feeling of like Moonstruck as well. I felt some of that in there with, she reminded me a bit of, she was Cher's character in Moonstruck filtered through the lens of Terry Gilliam to fit his world and his version of New York. Like, and it works perfectly. He's so, and she just, I mean, at the beginning of the, as I'm rewatching it and I'm remembering how good she was, and then I'm just watching that whole thing unfold, and I'm like, oh, she earned that Academy Award. How Robin Williams didn't win. He didn't win because they went up against Silence of the Lambs that year. It was Anthony Hopkins.
I will say, okay.
Hopkins was very, very good. However, he was on screen for like 15 minutes. So he really should have gotten supporting actor. Williams did eventually get his Oscar. Sad that he only ever got one. Because, and you look at...
What did he get? He got it for Good Will Hunting, right?
Yep, he got it for Good Will Hunting. But he was nominated...
Which is he's phenomenal.
Oh, it's amazing. But he was nominated for this movie, for Good Morning Vietnam. I mean, you look at the stretch he had right around the time of this movie.
And Society, I think.
I think he was for that too, yeah. But you look at...
Robin Williams... Oof.
Well, think about as a guy who came up and was known as like just the wacky, zany comedy guy, right? Stand-up comedy, Mork from Ork. And he always wanted to be an actor, and like he took roles like that. But starting with, I'll make the mark of Good Morning Vietnam in '87. He had done some dramatic stuff prior to that, but that was kind of the first one that was the breakout of like, oh, this guy's more than just a comedian. But he has Good Morning Vietnam. He has Dead Poets Society 2 years later. He has Awakenings, and then this movie. That's with some other stuff thrown in there too. That's 4 pretty phenomenal roles that he managed to get.
The man was such an interesting actor. Because I remember growing up, and I knew him from Happy Days when he played Mork, and I remember him when he was, doing that show. And when he would act like, look at Popeye. I mean, Popeye doesn't work completely as a film, but his role in it, he literally brought the weirdest looking cartoon imaginable to life to perfection. I mean, when he twists his little hand and does that little spin and knocks out a squid, I mean, it's insane. Yeah. The guy was a genius, but it's such a shame we didn't know what a broken genius he is. And I think this movie brings a lot of that out in him. I think he might have been working some stuff out because he is so manic. But when he goes into those fits of reminiscence of where the Red Knight comes out, that fear in his eyes is so real. He turns into a child. And just when he's balled up in the street, it's just one of the most affecting things in this film. I absolutely like his role is it's just highs and lows, and it never stops. It's amazing.
It doesn't, and he has to play two different versions of Perry, but Perry is himself a different iteration of the person he actually is in the teacher. So you can tell he's playing this character of Perry with the idea that he is somebody broken from a traumatic experience, and he's dealing with trauma in a very different way from the way Jack is dealing with what we find out is the exact same trauma, which is pretty bold to put in your movie, in my opinion.
Jack is also dealing with the guilt end of it, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, in a way, Perry's Perry at least has the, not the benefit, but the kind of, it takes away, he doesn't have to work so hard because he's really just kind of out there now. Where Jeff Bridges has full memory of what's going on, plus the guilt, plus, you know, he made money off this guy. He created a monster.
Yeah.
And I mean, he meets him because he was trying to kill himself. You know, I mean, here he is tying a brick to his ankle with a Pinocchio puppet, and two guys beat the hell out of him. Which one of those two guys I found out was
Dan Futterman.
Robin Williams' son from the Birdcage.
I know. I'd forgotten. That was
one
another
of
one.
The worst sons in history. That kid was a monster.
I completely forgot about that. And they flashed his face by. I'm like, hold on a second. I paused the movie. I'm like, wait a minute. And I had to look that up. And sure enough, there he is. And I was like, that's great. No, he just Robin Williams had so much ability to generate emotion in somebody. He could make you laugh, he could make you cry, he could make you sit and think. He could be in the same scene goofy. He's in Central Park stripping naked to lay in the grass and bouncing around and just doing it. He's just like, whatever, I'll do this, that's fine.
Absolutely.
And then on a dime turns and you're just like, you're captivated by what he's saying. And he's telling you the story of the Fisher King and relaying that myth. And I was just like, oh, Robin.
And the one part of it that is so beautiful is when he goes, I think I heard it in a lecture once.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. At Hunter College or something. Meanwhile, it was like he gave the lecture.
Yep.
Like he doesn't remember that that was it. And that's why he tells it so perfectly. It was him the whole time. And God, he's just the most. But then the next minute you're about to start weeping, and then he jumps up and will do some crazy spin, and you're like, and he's Robin Williams again. And I mean, he brought that energy to things like Aladdin. He, you know, to Hook even. I heard your episode on Hook the other day, and I was laughing the whole time. So I'm just like, I get to talk about Robin Williams again.
Well,
That's
and
awesome.
it's great because
so
like. If you're gonna, when I talked about it on Hook, but if you're gonna cast an adult child, like Robin Williams is perfect for that, for exactly what you mentioned earlier, which is in this when Perry has those flashbacks and sees the Red Knight, which is both, it's the manifestation of all of his problems, right? It's the way he's seeing the problems, and that's why it's red and all that kind of stuff. But it also fits perfectly into the myth that he's telling, which is why this person's psyche would have pulled those images and used them. The fear in his eyes is so real in those moments. And that's this type of stuff that I just feel like even with all of the credit that Robin Williams gets for how good of an actor he was, it's not enough. He was that much better at all of it. Like, just the ranges of emotion that he could get out of you in one movie. And there were, you know, you had those times where people would talk about the Robin Williams formula of movies, whether it was Patch Adams or Jack or, you know, all these things. But if you watch them, they do what they're meant to do, which is to make you feel something.
Yeah.
And he was so good at that.
Think of how much ad-libbing the man would do. And there must be entire, Criterion collections of just the B-roll.
Yeah. I can't imagine
that. I want all the B-roll that man has ever spewed out into the world, because I goddamn guarantee you it is bliss and goodness to the highest extent.
Jeff Bridges was...
I couldn't imagine.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Bridges was giving an interview just a few years ago. It was shortly after The Giver had come out, I think.
Oh, okay.
And he was giving an interview. They asked him about the Fisher King, and he was talking about working with Robin and how, like, there would be nights where they'd be working till like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, these long nights. And there'd be times where they're just dragging and the crew is tired and everybody's falling apart. And then Robin would just jump up and just start doing the Robin Williams thing and just go a million miles an hour at everybody around. He was riffing on actors and crew and all this. And Bridges is like, most directors would be like, okay, Robin, okay, that's great. Let's stop now and let's get back to work. And he's like, Terry would just let him go. He would go for like a half an hour, and then we'd be all jazzed and we'd be ready and we could go for another 3 hours. And it's just how amazing that's was. Great. And just how he would bring that to movies. But then there was another moment. His favorite, or one of his most lasting memories, was they were shooting underneath one of the bridges, and they whatever happened, they went to sit down, and there's the two of them. They sit down, and just as they sit down, like a whole flock of pigeons comes by and just craps all over them as they flew by, and they both just look at each other. It's just like, yeah, okay, and like he's like, it was a moment where Robin Williams didn't say anything. And they just kind of like, well, I guess we're in this now. And they had to keep going. But it's like, I love hearing those stories. And I love hearing the Robin Williams stories of like him on, in the recording studio for Aladdin.
Oh my God. I watched some of that. That is insane.
How much he could do just by himself in a tiny little room.
Yeah. And they were like, we're not even going to. We'll draw it afterwards.
Yeah.
Because we have no clue what we're going to be able to use.
No,
and
none at all.
And it was just rapid fire. Joke. I mean, I remember back in the 80s watching him when, I forget what show it was. He was doing stand-up. And he literally climbed the balcony.
Oh, yeah.
And walked the whole... He was coked out of his head. And he didn't stop. I think he went on for like another hour and a half after they finished recording.
It's insane.
That man was just this force. But he also he knew humanity. I mean, I got on this weird tangent the other day. I'll take away from the movie for a second, on YouTube, where we were watching videos of Coco the gorilla meeting celebrities. And it was Mr. Rogers, which was the cutest damn thing I ever saw, and Robin Williams. And Coco takes Robin Williams' wallet and is like going through it, looking at the driver's license and like making sure it's him, putting it back. He goes, it was just like playing with a giant child all day. And I think that's what she was thinking about me. And I was like, only this man can have this much fun with a 600-pound gorilla. I love it. I love him. And this movie was I wish I had seen this sooner in his career, because when I really saw him change was things like the one you spoke about earlier, what was the De Niro movie? Awakenings.
Yep.
He's amazing in that. But that's, it's not a comedic role.
Right.
But it's the first time you really got to see him do drama, except for maybe a little bit in like Garp, which I've seen bits and pieces of, The World According to Garp.
Yeah.
Which he worked with Amanda Plummer on that also.
Right.
Evidently. And she's an interesting choice for this film. I'd like to... What did you think about her as the love interest?
She's an interesting choice because she is not what you would classically think of as getting cast as the love interest in a movie. But
until she took that hat off.
Yes.
I was like, holy crap.
I like Amanda Plummer a lot. In anything that I've seen her in. But what works is she works in this movie because she has this awkwardness to her that fits. Yeah. It's the puzzle piece that matches the character of Perry perfectly. And when they're having that whole dinner scene at the Asian restaurant is brilliant, and it's brilliantly laid out in that they keep doing that wipe back and forth.
Yes,
which is so.
My girlfriend lost it. She was. That's when she kind of really started to watch it. She goes, "This is genius." She's like, "This is like the best comedy I've ever seen," because they're not even saying anything. They're just dropping dumplings.
Yeah,
but it's more fun to watch Jeff Bridges and Anne watch them like they're kids.
Yes,
that's the beauty of that scene.
That is exactly, because you see it evolve. It's the scene starts off and here's Perry and I can't remember Amanda Plummer's character's name, but they're awkward and they're dropping stuff. And they're like breaking dishes, and you've got the parents, you've got Jack and Anne, and they're just like, oh, what have we done? Why are we here? What is going on? And then the wipes happen, and you just see it evolve, and you see them like at some point turn a corner, and even when Jack leans over and is like, what do you think? And they're like, they're perfect for each other, like they were made for each other, and by the end of it, they're just laughing and they're having a ball, and I love that, and it's a moment of great humanity because it's Perry. Perry gets to like feel these emotions that he's held in for so long. He's getting to finally fulfill this fantasy he's had with this girl. She is opening up and having fun for what probably is the first time for her in a long time. And Anne and Jack get to experience this and see the humanity in these two awkward people in very different, and they both see the world in such a different way. And it's just this great moment of four people. And then you get that shot that pulls back, and it's a bunch of like the restaurant workers and other people in there. They're just watching, just fascinated by the whole thing. And I was just like,
that one guy just his head on his hand. He's just like that. These two crazy kids. It's adorable.
And
I love it. I love that.
I loved that scene, and then that shot was just the cherry on top of the sundae. It was like, and oh god, that's so the preamp
to that, where he finds the perfect suit, and he has to staple it to the right size.
He's stapling a hem into it. I don't know why
that tickled me to no end, because I'm sitting there, he's just like, so what should I say to her, Jack? I don't know. Dude, can you just hold still for 2 seconds while
he's like,
you pull your pants?
Robin Williams is just vibrating as he's trying to use, and it's
he's
like
a little
big
kid going to his first dance. It's adorable.
And he's using like a big like home stapler, like you would use to staple stuff to the wall to staple this suit that's still too big. And it's just I loved every moment of that.
And that's the poster. I mean, it's him like pointing at Robin Williams, and Robin Williams just having this little childlike look on his face, wearing that oversized suit. And you know what? I can't think of a better poster than that.
No,
that one shot is perfect. It was a screenshot they got, and they went, we're going with that. It was, I love it. I think
there's the marketing image right there. And it's great because that's kind of the first moment where we see Perry get cleaned up too. Because up until this point, he has been very much a homeless person in New York City. And I appreciate when production design thinks enough to do things like dirty up and mess up their teeth and the face, and like just hands are dirty and grimy and all of that, all the stuff that you would normally see. And so like just to see Robin Williams,
I'm glad they didn't do the Encino Man, put him in a jacuzzi and clean him up because he's so filthy, kind of like, because I'd be like, oh really, come on.
But like his hands were always that just like kind of mechanics. They looked like mechanics' hands, just constantly grease and dirt covered. And he had dirt all over his face. Even when Jack is looking through his clothes, and here's Perry eating the food, like, which is another really funny scene, right? Because here's Perry eating the food, and he just keeps asking Anne to bring over more food so he can stare down her shirt. And but even there, like,
she's just like,
she does, and she doesn't grasp it at first, but like by the second or third time, she sort of figured out what's going on. And but even there, he's still dirty. His face has still got dirt like on it, and his beard is a little dirty and patchy, and all of that. Like, they just did a good job. It helps when you've got a hairy guy like Robin Williams to use as that.
I will say, I thought his stomach would be hairier.
I did
when they
too.
were laying in Central Park, I'm like, I really thought I was going to see. They weren't even going to have to like put a merkin on him. Like,
no,
he's just a human merkin.
He's just wearing his own sweater. But I just everything about the role of Perry, and then Terry Gilliam. One of the other things I love that he does is the blurring of fantasy and reality, and bringing those two things together, because it's very much what a lot of people will go through in their daily lives, but you may not see it as visual. But you have these thoughts and the stuff go on in your head. And so he just makes that visual. Brazil is so good at it, right? Brazil is like the masterclass in my opinion, because you're never 100% sure what is real and what isn't, because he skews the view of the real world so much. And I like that here, because Perry exists in our world, but he is haunted by all the stuff that happened as part of his trauma. And so that's what's got him. He's not hospitalized anymore, but he probably should be, because of the trauma and what he's been going through. So he's hearing voices, he's seeing things that no one else is. And then we get to see those as well. But then you see it happening to Jack just a little bit. Especially when he finally decides to go for the Grail and complete the quest.
And I've driven past that building so many times. It's on I think 94th and Madison by Hunter College.
Okay, yeah.
That building is awesome. That is a cool. It is a literal castle in the middle of Manhattan, and I could not imagine scaling that. That was the fact that he knew to use a wrist rocket to shoot an arrow.
I've done
that. Archery. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was
that. Like, that is cool as hell.
I love the line of
the whole outfit.
Yeah, he's wearing Perry's outfit, which was great, and
the hat and all.
The hat and everything. And then I love the line as he's climbing up the rope. I'm glad nobody in this city looks up. Because you got that rope that's hanging almost down to street level as he's climbing the side of a castle. Only in New York.
And I don't think anyone would, honestly, no one would care.
No. So that was.
And I go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Because I'm going to go off.
Oh, no, I was just saying the New York-ness of this.
Have you been smoking grass?
Who was that?
Sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
I have been, but the New York-ness of all this is, I mean, it's on par with like the third, like Die Hard with a Vengeance, with how New York this movie felt. Because I mean, I'm born and raised New York. I've lived here my whole life, and that's what it looked like. And I was just, it's so nice when you actually see it, and they use things that aren't just the Flatiron Building or the Empire State Building. I don't think any other movies ever used that building.
I can't remember one.
Because no one ever goes past 54th Street movies. This is on 94th Street in Madison. It's uptown. No one wants to go uptown.
Right.
It's gorgeous. The architecture in this town is great that no one ever uses. And I'm watching this movie, and I've worked in half these buildings. I've been to half, and it's so much. I love when they actually shoot New York for New York. And that's all I have to say. Sorry, I had to
no. Absolutely. And what I have kind of dovetails on that, but I do want to say, like, I love New York for the times that I have been able to visit. And yes, I haven't stayed longer than like a week at a time, so I'm sure that plays into it a little bit. I'm not there all the time, but every time I've been, part of it is that it's so polar opposite from where I am and where I grew up. I grew up very small town, rural. The largest metropolitan area to me is 100 miles away, and that's Grand Rapids. It's not very big by comparison. So like New York and Chicago are so just vastly different, and there's a different feel to cities like that. There's like a life and a cadence and a breath and a breathing that a city has that you don't get in a rural situation, and I love that. And I like when movies capture that. And to your point, shooting New York for New York is a big thing. And I've gotten a lot better at being able to kind of pick those out where I can tell this was shot in Toronto. This was shot in Vancouver.
I could give you a world tour of Toronto at this point. It's horrible. Everything is to Toronto now. It's a gorgeous town. Don't get me wrong. It's not New York, though. And you can tell, and it kills me sometimes. And,
like, I get it when they have to do that because budget. But, something like Die Hard with a Vengeance is one. My first ever trip to New York City.
You needed to be in New York for that movie. It would not have worked any other way.
You did. And my first trip to New York City, I retraced a bunch of the steps of that movie because I loved it so much. And I was like, I'm going to go to Central Park. I'm going to go to these places and see these things.
That's awesome.
And seeing stuff like, even with a movie like Ghostbusters, you can tell when the stuff that was shot in New York versus what was shot in LA outside the buildings. I mean, all the interiors are LA, the exteriors are New York. But I like that they did that, at least for the exteriors, because it has that right feel. Moonstruck
I'll humble brag on I'm humble bragging on Ghostbusters. Dana Barrett's apartment.
Yeah.
I worked on that penthouse roof.
Oh, nice.
I built that apartment.
Very
Years
nice.
later, I was the one who got to reno. One day, fog rolls in.
Oh.
Do you know how creepy that rooftop is when fog rolls in? Those little spires and all that. Oh, it's all there, and it is. The building's not that high, but man, it freaked us all out. We were all taking pictures of it. It was awesome.
I bet.
That building's gorgeous.
But one of the things that was for me, and it's not overplayed in the movie, which I kind of do like, but the homelessness of characters like Perry and Michael Jeter's character, and a surprise cameo from Tom Waits, which is yet another thing that when I see Tom Waits in something, it's like immediately that movie has gotten better. And
yes, that man's voice.
Oh, I love it. But his scene epitomizes what it is, which is they're invisible. You don't see them. They're not looked at as people. And the movie did a good job with that, without like hitting you over the head with it, because they really
like
focused a lot of it in the one scene. But then that scene, with Tom Waits and the guy, like the one woman comes by and drops a couple coins in his cup, and he thanks her, and the next guy comes by and just sticks his arm out and drops a coin, not even looking, and you get. Jack is like, what an asshole, he didn't even look at you. And Waits is like, yeah, well, they're paying so they don't have to look. And
there's also one part where Robin Williams gets, like, he has a cup of coffee or whatever, because he doesn't drink coffee, but he has a cup of coffee. And the guy just drops it into his coffee. He's like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, they really don't look at you.
They don't look at all. But
he just doesn't even care.
No, he doesn't care. And like Tom Waits' character doesn't care. He gets it. He understands what's going on. It's a great scene to have right after, Jack has tried to pay Perry like $70 and walk away. Because there's that line that he has when he's talking to Anne where he's like, I just want to be able to pay the fine and go home. And like that was such a gut punch of a line, because you know exactly what he means, and there's no way he can do that. And he kind of knows. He knows he can't just buy his way out of this, but that's all he wants.
And that's what's that's just what's crippling him. That's his disease, is just that guilt. And I think the worst part about it is just that now he loves Perry. Like Perry's his new best friend, and the guy saved his life, and he owes him. He owes him more than he did before now. And that, do you think the Robin Williams character would have been more interesting if you knew what he was like when he was Harry? When I think his name was Harry Searles or something like that.
I don't think so.
When he
and the reason I say I know is what makes the character intriguing to me is the way Robin Williams plays him, and as you've mentioned a couple times, just that manic nature, and he's crazy, and then he'll calm down and he'll talk to you a little bit, and he'll philosophize with you. And then he'll go crazy again, and he'll, like I said, strip naked in Central Park and run around, just bouncing around. But I think if we, and I think if we knew his character from before that, then we're going to constantly be looking at Perry differently, because he's not. We won't think of him as Perry. We'll think of him as this person going through something, as opposed to Perry, who is a fully fleshed version of this guy, and he is who, Perry is who remains. The guy that was in the bar who lost his wife died that night, and he's not ever coming back. And Perry is going to have to continue on, because that's really and that's another thing that this movie did, because we talked about how Jack goes through goes, gets broken down and then reverts back to who he was before because he thinks he did what he was supposed to do. And then he grows from that because he can't go back to being who he was before. Trauma won't allow that to happen. He has to evolve and move on. And Harry died that night and Perry was born. And trauma is such that like Perry is now the dominant personality and he is who is going to continue. And
now,
I just
at the end, he still was called Perry, right?
Yeah, because Amanda Plummer comes in to talk to him.
Okay,
and she's looking for Perry.
That's right. I was trying to remember if he changed his name or not. I was trying to remember.
And so I kind of like not knowing who he was beforehand because it's really largely irrelevant to who he is now. Who Perry is now, you get little bits and little flavors of who Harry was when he's reciting the myth and all of that. That's always going to be a part of him, but like he's not that person anymore. And I don't think we need that like a performance of that coloring the way that we see Perry. I don't need it, at least. So
that was pretty much my reading also, and I was just curious just to throw it out there to see if you'd feel like, I don't know. And I kind of felt the same way. I think if you knew more about kind of just this normal everyman, it almost takes away the mythos of this like kind of epic homeless character. Like he thinks he's a knight. He thinks, and he's beating people up in the park and being a badass, and just I think it would have just taken so much away from him. You're exactly right. I was just curious if I was crazy and thinking, because nowadays we would put that in.
Mm-hmm.
We would dissect this character to no end, and I think it would lose its meaning because modern audiences want to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we just know enough is perfect for Perry.
Absolutely.
Just that moment where his wife gets shot, and that is trigger warning central when you literally see his face.
Mm-hmm.
And they built the Red Knight around that image.
Yeah.
They wanted to hit that splatter of blood look.
Yep.
And the suit weighed something like 250 pounds.
It was something
the
ridiculous.
lance it was designed to shoot fire. He had two different horses, one to do a rear back and one to do a gallop, and they had to put ice packs through the whole thing. But they were going to build just this regular knight. They're like, no, it has to look like every bit of his nightmare. And they show that about 4 times during the movie, and it gets worse incrementally. And it is that last one where he has his breakdown and goes comatose. You finally get it.
Yep.
And that is the most impactful, brutal thing I think Terry Gilliam's ever put to film. And Robin Williams is superb doing that scene. And that is a hard scene to pull off. And
it is.
I was kind of shocked by it, honestly.
Oh,
I really wasn't expecting the gore.
I'd forgotten about it completely. I'd forgotten that there was that much there. And it's the thing where, and as I mentioned earlier, kind of putting Terry Gilliam in that sort of realm of like a David Lynch and some of those types of directors, in that they're unapologetic. They're going to show and do what they want to do, and they're going to make you ask questions and then never answer them. And
I love it.
I love that because I don't need, like, if you can ask Terry Gilliam, like, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? He'll probably just smile at you or just say, like, well, what do you think it means? What does it mean to you? Because that's what's important. He wants that interpretation, and that blurring of fantasy and reality that he's so good at doing is part of that. Yeah. So, yeah, I love that a ton.
And part of being a good storyteller is sometimes leaving the audience just wanting and questioning, just that moment where you go, but wait, this is what it meant to me, and somebody else goes, that's not what it meant, this is what it meant, and the director just gets to sit back and have that moment of, I caused a brilliant discussion.
Yes.
And that's hard to do because we're such a literal society when it comes to our entertainment. And when you get a film like this that just has the, like, I missed things the first time around. When I was watching it the second time and I'm pointing things out just in my notes and going, oh wait, this, that, my notes made more and more sense. And I was just going, it was just Easter eggs. It was just these like little specks of each character coming to life. And my God, it is just so well crafted. And I love the way it ends, and I hate the way it ends. the fireworks thing, I was like, I don't know, but it's so farcical and fantastical. It was kind of sweet, especially with naked Jeff Bridges just kicking his feet up in the air.
Well, and it's that
having a blast.
Yeah, it's that idea that like the story is being told to us, and we have a somewhat unreliable narrator going on, right? Because like we're getting this story told through the eyes of Perry and through the eyes of Jack as they're experiencing it. So we get these moments like one of I think the my favorite moments is in Grand Central as Perry starts following her, and then all of a sudden in the middle, because she is about to get lost in a sea of people and he is invisible to everyone around him, and then all of a sudden, and it's so subtly done in the background of a shot where you're focused on Robin Williams, you're looking at Perry, and then you start to see people moving differently around him as he's weaving in between them, and suddenly it's everybody in Grand Central is dancing a waltz around him, and the music comes up, and it just is this surreal moment of everyone dancing as he follows her and just looks at her. And then for it to end exactly the same way, and it just everyone goes back to what they're doing. So brilliant, such a beautiful moment, and it kind of made me like the ending sort of reminds me of that, where it's like that's all happening in Grand Central inside Perry's head. He is seeing this happen, and so that's what like the ending with the fireworks made me feel like that's Perry and Jack seeing what they want to see as they're just laying there naked in the grass in a completely empty Central Park, which is impressive.
At night I can imagine, but yeah, I wouldn't suggest laying naked in Central Park.
No.
That's just asking for trouble. But no, like I just remember seeing that at first, and it jarred me, and then I kind of laughed to myself, and I had the reaction that you had, where you're just like, yes, it's just fun. It's just everything worked out in the end for once in all of these miserable people's life. It may not be the ending you want, but at least they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like this guy was top of the world, made him miserable. This guy had a tragedy and had to disappear into a fantastical world just to deal with it, and found love somehow.
Yeah.
You know, which I would love to know how that relationship works afterwards. They don't go into it, but man, that's got to be interesting.
So it's one of those where I don't want to necessarily have I don't want to learn any more about what happened before the events of this movie.
No,
but I would love even just like a novella, something that kind of just follows up and just talks about like Jack and Ann and what they did, because Jack is going to go back on the radio, you know, but he's not going to be the same radio DJ that he was. Meanwhile, Ann, is she going to keep the video store or not? Which, real quick before I forget, I loved the two titles of the porn movies they had in this movie, which was because I love parody porn titles that, especially when they show up in like mainstream movies. Ordinary People's cracked me up, and Kramer versus Creamer was the other one. It just, I love that kind of stuff.
And I
but
love that her office is the porn room.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have to go into her office while she's working to look at pornography.
Yep.
I want a movie about Anne. I love that character.
Honestly, yes. Yes, I'm with you.
She's the most normal, but she's not. And she just fits in with this bunch so perfectly. She's the extrovert to Amanda Plummer's introvert.
Yeah.
Which, that's why watching these four date is just a delight in every scene.
And the way that scene goes where Amanda Plummer comes over to get her nails done, and they start off and they're just they're like
She's such a pain in the ass.
yeah, they're just at loggerheads, and they're just like butting heads, and she's she's filing the nails, and then we go away and we come back and they're giggling and laughing and rolling on the floor, and you can tell like the same type of thing, just the way that Amanda Plummer and Perry's characters are like a perfect kind of romantic match. She and like Anne and her character are a great friend match because they're different enough that the way they slot together works for a friendship. You could tell, like, I feel like they would have a good friendship moving forward, and I'd love a movie. Just have a movie about the two of them, and you can mention Perry and Jack, and maybe have them have a cameo or something. But like, the movie's about the two of them, because that would be awesome.
Mercedes Ruehl. I remember the first time I saw her and remembered her was Last Action Hero. When I was about 15, going to see that, and she was the mom in that, and she is hilarious. She's just and Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, "Do you know you can just sit down with a woman and have coffee?" And she taught me about Mozart and Beethoven, and he's just having this like, and she's like, "You didn't tell me your friend was a cop. He seems like a gentleman. What are you?" That woman is hilarious. She was almost on SNL.
Oh wow!
She tried out and almost made SNL. I would have loved to have seen that.
So
she would have. I mean, she would have had a Seinfeld career at that point.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I remember her very distinctly from an episode. She was a guest star on an episode of Psych, and she was playing this like.
Oh, wow.
And so she was probably in her late 40s, early 50s at the time, and she's playing a rookie cop who's like just terrible. Like has tried the exam to become a cop like 15 times and finally made it. And like the whole episode, she's everything's an injury of some kind that she had from some bar fight or some fight that happened when she was younger. So like she can't ride shotgun in the car. She has to sit in the back because she did something to the cones in her eyes and like all this kind of, and so I remember her, like, I remember her so distinctly from that because it's such a ridiculous character and like so over the top. And I forget when I see her, whenever I rewatch Psych, and I forget like that's an Academy Award winner. Like she's hamming it up for this show, but she's so good. And I completely forgotten that she was in Last Action Hero. As well.
I mean, I would love to see her make a weird comeback on some, like just the way like what's her name from Cagney and Lacey was on Burn Notice as the mom,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
Ty Daly pops in on something. You're just like, oh, I know you.
Yeah,
where
like
is Mercedes Ruehl?
I mean, she's been working, but it's all little stuff. An episode here, a movie there, 3 episodes of. She was in like 3 episodes of Bull, back in 2020. Couple of episodes of something here and there, but like nothing major, and it's kind of a bummer because I feel like she should have that resurgence because she is.
I will
fantastic.
Say though, did you watch season 3 of Picard?
I have not watched any of Picard.
And
yet.
Amanda Plummer is eating scenery in the best way possible. She's the heavy.
Oh, okay.
And my God, that woman is terrifyingly good in this. She is just smoking cigarettes and being a badass. I mean, she's like old school bad guy, and I love her. She is. I didn't know it was her at first, and then my friend Jeff was just like, "That's Amanda Plummer," and I looked, and she turned the camera at that moment. I went, "Wow, you found the role for you." She is excellent in it. I mean, say what you want about Picard. It's an okay show. 3rd season, I think, is the best season. But she is excellent in that. She was so much fun. Because she gets the weirdest roles. And you never know what... I mean, I Shot Andy Warhol, I still think is her best performance. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I have not seen that one.
It's by the woman... It's by the woman who made American Psycho, and it's about this. It's about this activist who kills Andy Warhol, and she plays the one. And I remember watching it in college and go, "Who is this?" And then I saw her in Pulp Fiction, that little tiny role.
Yep.
And then I didn't know she did stuff like this. You know, like I just never caught her enough. And at first I was thinking, you know, Amanda Plummer, she's such a strange spice. And then she takes her hat off, and she is absolutely adorable.
Oh yeah.
It was the first time I sat there and went, Amanda Plummer just needed a haircut. She looks excellent in this movie. I can see why Rob Williams is into her. And it was just they do that so intermittently, and they keep her kind of just in her little cocoon. And I really, it's one of the first times I've truly enjoyed her in something that would seem to be out of her comfort zone. That wasn't just like a super weirdo. She's just an introvert.
Yeah.
You know, she's not an outward person. And
Right.
that's great. That's who she is. In this, it was the first time I really you felt for her. And she was just, but she's mean and cute at the same time. You just don't know how to deal. And it's perfect with that heavy, syrupy Robin Williams performance.
Oh
where
yeah.
everything's so sweet and happy. You know, it mixes so well, that bitter and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it works. It's the same with Jeff Bridges and Anne. You know, it's that bitter and sweet. And yeah, this movie, man. I'm so glad you got me to watch it.
Oh, definitely.
I have to say.
Yeah,
I had a blast with this.
Oh, it's so good. I did capture a couple of clips. I just want to play real quick a couple of these because they're too good not to. You know, Perry, I got a few different Perryisms that just they cracked me up. When he's introduced, he shows up, he's standing on top of their Jeep, and he fires off the arrow with the tennis ball on it right in that guy's crotch. And he's speaking and he's flourishing and he's doing all this stuff, and then he comes back with,
Let the bum go, dipshit!
I love that so much.
And you know that was just Robin Williams.
Oh yeah.
That was pure, he just came up with that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you almost 40% of his dialogue is just him spouting off, and I love it.
I'm curious. So my guess is that this is an ad lib. However, I'll play it first and then we'll talk about it.
I have a hard on for you the size of Florida.
So that sounds like a perfect Robin Williams ad lib, but then if you think about the beginning of the movie, when Jeff Bridges' girlfriend is drawing, she's drawing a picture of a guy laying back in like a Burt Reynolds pose, and but his body is the United States and Florida is his ding dong. And so I'm wondering
I read that, and I was hoping you were going to pull that clip.
But it makes me wonder, was it a Robin Williams ad lib that they worked into the movie? Or was it part of the script that he did? It could go either way. Like, you could see them...
I bet you you're right, only because I imagine when they shot Jeff Bridges just working strictly as kind of yuppie scum, shock jock,
mm-hmm.
They probably had him with the same haircut and everything and things like that. So they probably shot the beginning and end at the same time.
Yeah.
Just because they had the location. So they probably shot all the other stuff first. You're 100% right. I'm gonna give it to you.
I like that. For some reason this description of him when they wake up the next morning in the boiler room, which if I wake up to Robin Williams staring back at me with that smile, that's not a comfortable way to wake up. Like, that's gonna get a reaction out of me, no matter how hungover I am. But when he's describing who he is and everything, and he just says,
I'm the janitor of God.
I was like, okay, all right, I like that. That's good. Well,
he does tell that story of the Fisher King.
Yeah.
Where he is the fool.
Yes.
You know, like in that story, he is the fool, and I think that's where the fool's kind of your lowest level.
Yep.
And he knows it. In a weird way, he knows that's his role in the story, and he's just following his quest. And I think that's a cool foreshadowing. That's really cool foreshadowing.
It is. I love to capture laughs, especially the fake and forced ones. And so just this quick one from Perry because it's such a Robin Williams moment and it's that kind of screwball comedy where it's like Perry, and then Amanda Plummer's like, Perry? No, just Perry. And she's like, oh, like Moses. and his reaction. It's just, and that's staying on my soundboard of laughs now. Like it goes up there with Merrick from the Ray Liotta movie. Like just some of the best laughs. No Escape.
Oh, what is it? Yes.
Like it's just gonna go with that.
Oh man, I need to rewatch it. No Escape.
Yes, you do. A couple more Perry ones. Oh, this was I like this too. This exchange.
Can you keep a secret?
No.
Good.
Like
No.
good. So,
I just love Jeff Bridges. He's just so goddamn dry, but fun. And the shirt he's wearing in the video store is the same one he's wearing in Big Lebowski.
Yep.
Like, that's awesome. He just brings his own stuff to set, man.
Also, he did a great job acting drunk. And
yes,
that is something that movies do not often get right. Far too often, drunks in movies, especially if it's a major character, more so in comedies than anything else, but it's never like what people really are like when they're drunk. And he felt like he was actually drunk.
And again, I think it goes to the theory of he's becoming a genre. Because watch someone like Nicolas Cage, Leaving Las Vegas.
Yep.
He plays drunk perfectly because he's just so Nicolas Cagey that whole movie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can tell he's drawing it in because he's really trying to act. He's not just doing, like The Witch's King or whatever crap movie he's throwing out to pay his taxes. And I think that's the same with Jeff Bridges is you're expecting weird. So when he acts a little off, it works perfectly for that. He sounds like a drunkard because he kind of every once in a while will just kind of bring it down a little bit.
Yep.
He's like telling the fireside chat.
Yep. And then he just slows himself down.
And I think he just knows how to do that.
Yeah.
And he's done that most of his career. I mean, Christ, after Lebowski, that was like all he was asked to play.
Yeah.
And it kind of felt bad for him because he's way better than that,
The last Perry one was just it's the scene with him and Amanda Plummer where she's doing the whole thing of like, well, you're going to want to come up for the night and then we're going to sit and talk. And I love that because when he walks up and the first thing he says is like, we just met and then had made love and then broke up all in 30 seconds. It's a lot to take in. And he's trying to talk to her, and she keeps talking over him, and I just love this.
It was for me, too, but I think it's time you should shut up now.
I think it's time you should shut up now.
That got an audible laugh in my living room from both myself and my girlfriend, and I saw it twice. She laughed so hard. She repeated it, and she just looked at me and said, like, how many times have I said that to you? And I was like, exactly. But he's so pure in that moment.
It is. It's so because he's not saying it to be mean. He's just like, you need to stop talking and let me say what I need to say. So it's the only way he can get through to her. It just killed me. Let's see. I got a couple of Jeff Bridges as well because of course.
Cool, man.
Dulang was one I had to get.
Dulang!
I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I've got it captured, and I have it forever.
I forget, why did he scream Dulang again?
It was right after he said...
Go to the nearest liquor store, findeth the Jack of Daniels, that ye may be shit-faced! Dulang!
So, that was another one of those great moments. Let's see. This was the heartbreaking moment and what really made me think about that relationship, because up until this point, I had kind of forgotten the relationship of Jack and Anne, and it sort of felt like it was just going to kind of be fine. And my memory, like so much of this movie was like these little moments were out of my memory. And this is one that's going to stick with me, which is where she looks at him.
You love me?
I don't know.
I don't know. Oh, she did not deserve that.
That was like, and that scene just comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was no reason to leave Anne. Anne is perfect for him. She's
absolutely
exactly what he needs in his life. Does he not think he's good enough for her? Is he just a prick? And I'm going, he's just a prick, because god damn, that is just so, that is the biggest punch in the face, I think, anyone. Like, how do you don't know how to break up with someone? My god.
No. Oh,
And
it's so
that's
rough.
I watched that scene, and I love that scene and I don't like that scene at the same time, only because it's so out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a weird third act thing to throw in, but it somehow works because Anne will take him back, because she's like, just work out your shit, like,
yeah,
she's broken, but she's gonna let him work it out, and if he comes back, great. If not, whatever. She'll move on, because Anne is awesome.
Yeah, and it's a true someone who loves him in this situation, like a true expression of that, because she is, even in that moment, she is willing to be, okay, fine, go figure your stuff out. Like, I'm not going to sit and wait for you, but if you can get it figured out, I'll probably still be here.
Yeah. And it's kind of like I said earlier about Amanda Plummer. She's that, Florence Nightingale character taking care of this guy she's only known for a day,
mm-hmm.
and falling in love with him. This woman's been doing it for however long Robin Williams has been suffering, and he caused that disaster. Like, Anne is a very similar character, and I think that's probably why her and Amanda Plummer got along so well, is both the men in their lives are complete lunatics who just don't know how to deal with trauma, but they're two complete ends of the spectrum. There's so much going on here.
There really is.
I mean, you could dissect this movie, like you could write a dissertation on this film. Just the amount of broken people. I mean, even the Michael Jeter character being the way he is, and just who he, his flamboyancy, but he's afraid of everybody,
mm-hmm.
and like, he wants to be out there, but he doesn't know if he can. It's all just so well written, so perfectly paced. I mean, like I said, a 2 hour, 17-minute movie. This thing felt an hour 45.
Yeah, it really moves
you
brisk.
Get so much out of it. I really, really like. This movie was phenomenal. I had a blast with this.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Because you know what it was? It's not one of those, like, I'm just glad I saw it. No, like, I'm happy I saw this movie. It has so many levels to it. I'm probably going to get the Criterion edition, throw it on my shelf, and watch it a couple more times, because this movie works. And it works, honestly, like I said earlier, nowadays, with all of the mass shootings we have, and the fact that back then, when you talked about mental disorders and things, going to a therapist was verboten. You're just a crazy person. Who goes with it? Frasier normalized therapy in America. I honestly believe that. And this movie just kind of just showed, like, man, we were just rudderless. We had nowhere to turn to mentally.
Yeah.
It was just, you ended up in a hospital or you dealt with it with drugs or alcohol. And it's something that is really important. And I think more people should watch this nowadays.
I agree. Just
for the social mores that it brings to the table, because it's sad that they're still relevant nowadays. There's no reason that these things should still be so heavy and hard to deal with, because we should have evolved, but we just, we're humans.
Yeah.
So that's all I got to say about that.
But it was definitely, it was a movie that was, 25 years ahead of its time in what it was tackling. That other just stuff wasn't getting tackled like that. So, yeah.
And to set it in New York, where they talked about therapy, probably like, yeah, take a Xanax, you'll be fine. Take a Prozac,
exactly.
you'll be fine.
Exactly.
That was therapy in '91.
It's true. No, I'm so glad that you got to see this. It's sort of like for me, recently I watched Mulholland Drive for the first time, and that was a movie that, I had that same type of thing where it wasn't just, oh, I'm glad I finally saw that. It was, I am really glad I saw that, and I want to watch it again, and I want to really dive into it and pick it apart and just like exist in that for a little bit. And that, so I know exactly that feeling that you're talking about, and I'm really glad that that you had that here because, again, like I said, one of my favorite filmmakers as a person, Terry Gilliam, for the most part, he's an old curmudgeon. He is. That's who he is now.
Don't meet your heroes.
Right, but as a filmmaker, the art that he has put out there, it almost always lands for me, and this is one of his. I mean, this is a great film to watch, and it's just chock full, wall to wall with amazing performances. Everybody in it is great, and it's so worth seeing. And I'm really glad that you saw it, and I'm really glad that you enjoyed it so much.
I was glad you called me back. It's been a while.
Oh, anytime.
I haven't podcasted all, like, my summer just started, but all spring basically. Mel and I kind of took time off from our show, made you watch a podcast just to kind of like get our lives in order. And we were like, you want to just take a break? She said, sure. So we're going to go back to it very, very soon. But
good. I was
when
just
you called
about
me
to
up,
ask.
I was like, dude, I haven't been in front of a mic in so long.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's going on and where can people find stuff. So it made you watch is coming back.
Yeah, we're going to come back. We have some ideas. We have a list of things we want to do. It's just finding the time to do it has been really tricky because we're both starting new jobs and everything. So we kind of like just took a little time off, but we're constantly on Twitter. You can find us like I'm @_mock and she's Spoopity Boop, SPOOPITYBOOP. I'll let you sort that out.
All right.
But we're pretty much everywhere. It's made to watch a podcast. It's easy to look up. We got 50-something episodes, I think. We're a little fledgling. We started this about a year ago and just kind of did it for work, and then it became kind of like this fun thing we just did outside of work. Nice. And then when we lost our jobs, we just kept it and said, we're going to keep doing this for fun until someone wants to pay us for it. So until then.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Made you watch a podcast. Right?
But definitely, I'm looking forward to that coming back because I have enjoyed every episode that I have listened to of Made You Watch.
I'm glad. I love this show. This show we feel like this like little brother to you guys. Because you have it's similar concepts, but ours just has this ridiculous age gap because I'm 40 and Mel is 27. So what I've seen and what she's seen when we watch each other's movies. Where does that keep going?
Oh, that's that's from the Twitch stream.
That's hysterical. But we just watch like such different things, and we kind of just have fun and make a day of it. So
and that's what's great about what I enjoy about doing this show is these conversations and getting to either take somebody off something off of somebody's list of shame or just opening someone up to something that's brand new. And that's what I like about your show is that you've taken that and distilled it down to the two of you. And it's the age gap creates an interesting thing because you're going to look at stuff differently from the way that Mel does and vice versa. And so what you grew up with is going to be very different from what she grew up with. And it's kind of great to just mix those two together because sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not going to land, and it's fun, but it's going to lead to good conversations. So,
and what really cracks me up about her is every once in a while I'll throw something out there I think she's absolutely going to despise, and she ends up loving it. And I'm like, I secretly love like Mac and Me. I secretly love Mac and Me because that movie is gross and stupid and shouldn't exist, but it does. It was a big part of my childhood, and I showed it to her, And it was like watching me watch it when I was a child with the amazement. And she's like, this is a thing they showed the kids. And I'm like, this is a thing they showed to my generation.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like the best. We had the best day ever. We ordered McDonald's. It was wonderful.
Oh,
you can
that's
find
fantastic.
it on our feed. It's on there.
Excellent. We'll definitely check out.
Travis, this has been a blast.
Oh, it's been so much fun. Well, you're welcome back anytime. Anytime. So we'll definitely have you back.
I'm not doing anything. So.
And I'm going to be getting in touch with Mel here soon to get her back on too, because when I had the two of you on, that was great. And so I wanted to bring you both on as your own, and then we'll bring you both back at some point, I'm sure, because it's way too much fun.
I look forward to whatever movie she chooses. I'm very curious.
I am too. So that'll be coming up soon. If you enjoy this show and you want to watch it live, you can do that Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, twitch.tv/TV's Travis. And you can be like Squishy Twitchy, who just followed recently. So I do it live Sunday nights, and then it comes out as the podcast on Wednesdays, everywhere you get your podcasts. You can also go to tvstravis.com, find the feed there. You load it into whatever podcatcher you want to use. That site also has links to things like merchandise and the Patreon for this show. You can do for as little as $1 an episode. Links to the Discord, and patrons get special access to parts of the Discord, and also monthly movie catch-up nights, where we pick something from the backlog and watch it that maybe somebody hasn't seen before. And the website's also going to have links to the upcoming YouTube series that I'm going to start doing on franchises. I'm watching all of the Fast and the Furious franchise this summer, because I've only ever seen before now the first movie. And so I'm going to dive in.
Really?
Yep, I'm diving into the pool, and I'm going to watch them all. So
I'm throwing my hat in the ring on this one. The third one is my favorite.
I hear
that. I adore Tokyo Drift. Fight me on it. And love that movie. I enjoy it. It makes no sense, and you're going to have a great time.
Well, you'll get to see my thoughts on YouTube here soon, because I'm starting to put those up very, very soon.
I cannot wait.
And then this show every week. Next week, I've got Cyrenex coming back because he has been... I've literally just heard him vibrating from the lower part of Michigan to watch John Wick Chapter 4, because we watched Chapter 3 a couple of months ago before the Chapter 4 hit theaters. And ever since then, every couple of weeks, I get a message from, hey, when are we going to do Chapter 4? When are we going to do So we're doing John Wick Chapter 4 next week, which I can't wait for. And we are inching ever closer to my favorite month of the year for this show, which is August, because August is all Nick Cage all the time. Cageapalooza 2023 is shaping up, and we've got some fun stuff coming for that. So keep an eye out on Twitter. Is where I'm probably most active as TV's Travis, but any social media, or like I say, tvstravis.com, you can find the links to everything there. Come join the Discord as well, and that you will find out what's coming up for Cageapalooza as well, which I can't wait for. I know for certain Renfield is happening, and I haven't watched it yet because my guest for it, he already claimed it, and he already watched it. And I'm like, great, now I got to wait till August to watch the movie. So every time somebody brings up Renfield, I'm just like, la, 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 no, I can't hear about that. And like have to shut them down because I got to wait. So that'll be fun.
I hear good things.
I do too. And I can't wait. Nick Cage is a treasure, and I'm all for it. So that is what's coming up. Well, Adam, thank you so much for being here this week.
Thank you, Travis. This has been awesome.
Oh, it has been great. Check out Made You Watch a Podcast. They're coming back, but you got 50 episodes to catch up on in the meantime, 50-something. So that's always good.
Something like that.
And join me next week with Cyrenex for John Wick Chapter 4. Until then, enjoy your movies and be excellent to each other. This has been Wait You Haven't Seen.
It's kind of a big titty, spread cheeky kind of thing.
Oh.